Okay, so when should you try to burn fat and build muscle at the same time? I think for some of you, there was a little bit of confusion with my last post on this topic, so I just want to clarify exactly what I meant here. There are 3 scenarios in which you should try to lose fat and build muscle at the same time. Number 1 is if you're completely new to strength training. Even if you don't have that much weight to lose, if you focus on strength training and stick at maintenance calories or even in a bit of a deficit, you are going to get beginner's gains and you are almost definitely going to build muscle. And we call this recomping because your weight might not change, but you'll be losing some fat and building some muscle. So that's a scenario where you can definitely, or if you have a good training program in place, you can definitely do that. The second scenario is if you're very overweight or obese. If you have quite a bit of weight to lose, you're going to be able to do both at the same time because you have so many calories available. If you're in a deficit, you'll have a lot of calories available from your adipose tissue. The third scenario is if you're on anabolic steroids, but that's probably not any of you. If the first and second scenario describes you, then you should definitely be trying to build muscle and lose fat at the same time. You'll want to be in a caloric deficit and you'll want to be doing resistance training at least twice a week. But if you're brand new to it, you could do it once a week and you'll get some gains from that. You'll need to add a second session in at some point along the way. And as many of you have said in messages to me over the past week, this is a good way of going about weight loss. If you're trying to lose weight, you should absolutely be trying to build muscle at the same time because muscle burns more calories than fat and it's absolutely going to help you to maintain a healthy weight or achieve a healthy weight. When I first started out as a trainer, I would hear a lot of trainers saying to people trying to lose weight, burn the fat first with cardio and then do strength training. And I don't know if anyone's saying that still in 2020, but there's terrible advice. Like nobody recommends that anymore. At least I don't think anyone does. I think that's how we used to think in the 1980s. But including a couple of strength training sessions in every week can really help you in your weight loss goals. And even if you're not building muscle, it's really important to be doing some form of resistance training to help you maintain muscle mass. Without resistance training, when people lose weight, 30% of the weight lost tends to be lean body mass. So 2/3 is fat and 30% is lean body mass, which isn't just muscle, it's everything that's not fat. It's water, you lose a lot of water, but it's also skin and organs and just everything else. Long story short, if you're aiming to lose weight, you should be doing resistance training at least twice a week. And if you're a beginner to resistance training, or if you have a lot of weight to lose, you will likely be able to gain muscle while you're in a calorie deficit. So those of you who've been doing that until now, well done. That's a really good thing. That wasn't what my previous video was about. I wasn't saying that you did anything wrong. You've done absolutely the right thing. Give yourself a pat on the back. So what my video the other day was specifically about is those of you who already have a really good fitness level, who have already lost quite a bit of weight and are already doing some kind of resistance training. But even here, there is some nuance. Okay, so let's go into a little bit of nuance with that. I see some clients who have lost quite a bit of weight and they have a really good fitness level and they're doing a bit of resistance training, but they still have quite a lot of weight to lose, and the resistance training they're doing is something like a Beachbody workout. So it's really glorified cardio, it's kind of these HIIT sessions, and they're not really working on strength or really working efficiently in order to build muscle mass. It's not the best workout for building muscle mass. So in that case, just changing their program and just giving them a proper strength training program, something that works on progressive overload and something that gives them sufficient volume and all the other training variables that they need, that will also help them move the needle in the right direction, even without adjusting diet. And I've worked with lots of clients who fit that category and who have managed to start building some muscle even though we haven't changed their diet at all, because the program they were doing wasn't really strength training. It wasn't really for building muscle. It was just a cardio workout, but it did have a bit of resistance in it. So it felt like they thought they were doing strength training. So that's also kind of recomping. They'll build some muscle and they'll lose some fat, but they'll probably stay around the same weight. But they look leaner because now they have less body fat and more muscle. If you take someone like me though, and I consider myself to be quite an intermediate trainee because I'm not doing things to a very advanced level. I do strength training twice a week. I do a couple of sessions of cardio a week. I'm hitting government guidelines for what I should be doing in terms of physical activity, but I'm not trying to build muscle. I'm not trying to lose weight. I don't really have any goals other than just maintaining where I'm at. And I'm not doing anything advanced. I mean, if some of you saw my strength training program, it's 2 sessions a week of squats, deadlifts, pull-ups, push-ups. Like it's nothing special. It's just what I know I need to do to just maintain. I'm also around 22% body fat. So I'm not super duper lean by any means, but I am considered to have quite low body fat for a woman of my age and above average muscle mass. So my BMI is very high. I'm almost I'm almost in the overweight category. And that's because of the ratio of muscle to fat. So I'm definitely not a beginner, but I'm definitely not doing anything particularly advanced. So someone like me, I don't have an awful lot of fat to lose. And I'm already lifting quite heavy weights and doing quite decent resistance training. So if someone like me wanted to lose some fat, I probably wouldn't be able to do both at the same time because I just don't have enough fat to lose. And I also don't have a lot of wiggle room with my training program. Like it's already at a decent level. So like I could definitely improve it. I could definitely work harder. I could definitely add more volume to it. But I probably wouldn't be able to do those things while being in a calorie deficit because I wouldn't be able to recover from the volume, at least not me knowing my body. So someone like me, and I made this mistake for years, is I tried to be in a calorie deficit and up my training volume at the same time in order to build more muscle. But you simply don't have enough raw materials to continue building muscle when you're in a calorie deficit. And I don't know if you've ever tried to be in a calorie deficit. Like it's hard. You are a bit more tired. You don't have as much motivation for training. It's hard to come in and really push yourself hard when you're trying to lose some weight. So for someone like me, it would be better to be in a little bit of a surplus and be training with higher volumes to build muscle, or to be in a little bit of a deficit, a very little bit of a deficit, and maintain my training volume. That would make a lot more sense. And a lot of you are around that kind of level. So one person did send me this week a new study that shows trained individuals gaining muscle. So already they're already training to a high level and they already have a lot of muscle and a high level of fitness, gaining more muscle in a calorie deficit. And this was really interesting because I love learning something new, and I love seeing new research that supports something that is different to what I believe to be true or what so far science has shown us to be true. And I will 100% change my mind when I'm shown evidence of the contrary. But what I will say is, in this study, they were on a really high protein diet. They were eating, I think it was 2.5 grams per pound of body weight, and they were in a 40% deficit. So they were in a massive deficit. And their training volume was, I presume their training volume was really quite high. So while it's really interesting to know that this is possible, that this is within the realms of possibility and we can actually do it, on a practical level, for most of my clients, I don't think I'll be trying to do that because it requires them eating really low calories, which is a really, really, really hard thing to do. Lifting heavy weights and doing high volume, which is hard to do in a calorie deficit. And eating super high protein, which is also hard to do. And a lot of people don't want to be eating that much protein. So there's a psychological element that comes into this. If these are athletes and these are people who really want to work towards a certain goal, and they're very highly trained and they've got their mindset in place and they've got their training plan in place and they don't wiggle from the plan, and this is their job. I don't know if these were professional athletes, but let's say if it was their job, then they just do it. They just do it, even if they're hungry, even if they're tired, and even if they get injured. It's just part of the job. Whereas most of you are not able to do that. This isn't your job. You're working in a hospital or in an office and you have kids to look after. This is not your job. So cool, it's possible to do. That's amazing. But on a practical level, I wonder how many people will actually be able to do that. Long story short, if you're a total beginner, if you've got a lot of weight to lose, yes, try and build muscle and burn fat at the same time. The more advanced you are, the harder that's going to be to do. But there are a lot of variables, including how you're training, how you're recovering, what your diet looks like, and how much effort you're willing to put into this. And that's why at a certain level, personalized training becomes relevant, because you need that specific training program for you, and you need it based on those training training variables. And that's why my job is complicated, because you can't just give one size fits all guidelines for everyone. You have to look at the whole person and everything that's going on and give them personalized programs and guidelines based on where they're at. So if you made it all the way to this point, thanks for watching, and do ask me about online coaching options. I'm just redoing my website at the moment to make it all clear exactly what I do and what the options are. So in the meantime, if you have any questions, then just shoot them my way.